How is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with my college football week 14 prediction video. As we all know, this is the absolute best week of college football of the season. All the rivalry games, so this is probably my favorite prediction videos. There's a lot of games going on this week. It's awesome, including the Iron Bowl, which I'm going to be at, which is going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Watching the Broncos and Patriots right now. The Broncos are winning 24-0, so I decided to come on here and get this video over with. Alright, starting off Tuesday, we have Western Michigan at number 14 Northern Illinois. That's pretty important. Number 14 Northern Illinois, they jumped, I think, 3 spots ahead, or they're not 2 spots ahead of Fresno State. And it seems like Northern Illinois, if they win out, they'll be the one making the BCS Bowl over Fresno State. So that kind of sucks for Fresno State fans. I mean, some people would like to argue that Fresno State should get the spot because they are unknown in a BCS game because Northern Illinois played last year and got beat pretty bad. But I disagree. I think Fresno State's a very good team, but I think every year is a different team, so you can't really compare this Northern Illinois team to last year's team. And I think they deserve a shot. I think they played a better schedule than Fresno State. At least they have 2 wins over Big Ten teams in Iowa and Purdue, and they beat some pretty good teams in Ball State and Toledo. So I think Northern Illinois deserves a chance, even though I disagree with the fact that people say Fresno State has played an easy schedule. Because comparable to or comparing their schedule to other teams like AQ teams, yeah, it's not a hard schedule, but the Mountain West is not an easy conference by any means. I mean, you have Boise State, Utah State, and all those schools. They played Rutgers out of conference, and they beat Rutgers and they beat Boise State. So they've played some pretty tough schedules too, but pretty tough games too. But I still think Northern Illinois, looking at it, deserves a little bit more than Fresno State. But going back to this game, no problem for Northern Illinois. This Western Michigan is one of the worst teams in the MAC this season, and that might actually hurt Northern Illinois because their strength of schedule might take a huge hit, and it might drop them a little bit in the polls. But I still think they should win this game by a lot. I'll go as far as 52-21 Northern Illinois over Western Michigan. Jordan Lynch should have a huge game again. If you never watched Jordan Lynch play, tune into ESPN2 Tuesday night and watch that game. It's gonna be awesome. Because Jordan Lynch is one of the most fun players to watch in college football. Moving on, Thursday we have Texas Tech at Texas. We don't get the Texas A&M Texas rivalry anymore, so we gotta settle for Texas Tech and Texas, which I still think is going to be a fun game to watch. Who's going to win? I think Texas Tech's going to win. I think they come out. They've been struggling as of late. Texas got pounded last time they played, absolutely pounded by Oklahoma State. I think Texas Tech comes out. I think they rebound. I think they get another win. I think they run for a little bit more yards than some people think. I think they try to take advantage of that Texas front seven, which has not been good this season, even though it's got a little bit better ever since Greg Robinson came in as defensive coordinator. But I still think Texas Tech can get some surprising yards on the ground, which will open up the passing game, which I think they can. We all know Texas Tech can throw the football around, so I think they hold Texas to a minimum, and I think Texas Tech gets a win by a touchdown. I'll go 38-31 Texas Tech over Texas. All right, next we have the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. It's actually at Mississippi State in Starkville. This is actually a bigger game, really, for Mississippi State than Ole Miss, because if Mississippi State wins this game, they're bowl eligible. If not, they go home packing for another year. So it's a huge game. But I think Ole Miss wins. I think they rebound after the Missouri game last week. I think they have enough playmakers in the defense to be able to stop Mississippi State for the most part. I think Dak Prescott, though, I think Ole Miss struggles with a dual threat quarterback, so that could be a good, big thing for Dak Prescott. I think he could have a big game. But I think this is really a game where the defenses aren't really much of a factor. It really depends on who outscores the other. I think this will be a high-scoring game, but I'll go Ole Miss by also a touchdown. I think Bo Wallace makes enough plays. I think he's been really good from really good at keeping from turning the ball over. Sorry, I couldn't word that good, but he's held on to the football, and he should think he'll play better than Dak Prescott. I'll go Ole Miss 42, Mississippi State 35. Ole Miss by a touchdown. All right, next we have Iowa at Nebraska, and this is going into the Friday games. Iowa and Nebraska both coming off of big wins last week. Very close win. So who's going to win this one? I think Iowa's going to win this one. I think Iowa will take advantage of the weak Nebraska front seven. I think Mark Wiseman will have a really big game. I think they'll be able to pound the football, play a solid defense. I think they'll be able to limit whoever plays quarterback at Nebraska, and I think Iowa's coming off of they have the momentum coming off a big win against Michigan. I mean, Iowa beating Michigan is a pretty big deal for Iowa fans and the Iowa program, really. So I think they get their second straight big win. I think they beat Nebraska, and I think this might send Bo Pelini packing, which I think would not be objected by any Nebraska fans. So I'll go Iowa. In a close game, I'll go by a field goal. I'll go 24-21 for the second straight week, Iowa over Nebraska. Gosh, the Patriots are doing absolutely horrible. 24-0 still, almost halftime. Next we have SMU at Houston. I think Houston wins this game. They got beat last week pretty bad by Cincinnati, and that kind of surprised me. But I still believe Houston, not as good as I thought they were, but they are one of the teams that have not got talked about all this season at any point. I think at least at one point, and maybe still now, they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, because they've been playing really tough this season. They were undefeated up to the BYU game and kind of fell off the map after that. Last week was really the first tough game they lost by more than a touchdown. So they've been playing good football. They'll play at home against in-state rival SMU. I think they get a big win. I think it'll be a really high-scoring game. I mean, both offenses are pretty prolific. So I'll go Houston by 10. I'll go Houston 47, SMU 35 in this one. A high-scoring game. Oh, this is a really good game out of conference. I mean, non-BCS teams. East Carolina at Marshall. Two insanely good quarterbacks. Shane Carden of East Carolina and Rakeem Cato of Marshall. They'll both sling the football around. This will be another really high-scoring game. When I look at this game, I think I'm going to have to go with Marshall because, I mean, both teams very even. Both play great offense. Defense is not so much. But the only difference here really is home field advantage. So I'm going to go with the Thundering Herd. And I think the difference in between the two quarterbacks, I think they're both great, but I think Rakeem Cato is better at limiting turnovers. So I'll give Marshall a field goal victory, 45-42 over East Carolina. It'll be a fun one. Next we have Toledo at Akron. That's actually a pretty easy pick for me. Toledo, definitely. Toledo's been actually one of the best teams in the MAC this season. They've kind of lost a couple games out of conference a lot because they played a pretty tough schedule out of conference, including a Florida team that wasn't that bad at that point. They definitely got worse since then. But Akron, they got better this season. They won 3 games in the past 3 years combined. This season, I think they won 3, I believe, already. So, I mean, that's 3 wins is a lot better than 1 for the past 3 years. But I think Toledo still comes in. Terrace Owens has a big game. I'm guessing this is a rivalry game for the two, so I'm going to go Toledo by 21 points. Go 42-21 Toledo over Akron. Or people commented on my Akron video before, and I guess it's pronounced Akron and not Akron. Sorry about that. So I'll go Toledo 42, Akron 21. Miami, Ohio at Ball State. Another blowout here. Ball State is also a really good team in the MAC. Can sling the football around a lot. If you watched Ball State Northern Illinois, you saw how good Ball State was. They were in that game to the very last minute. Northern Illinois luckily got like 3 touchdowns in 2 minutes at the very end of the game. But you saw how good Keith Winning was. The offense they had good receivers, a talented running back. Miami, Ohio is one of the worst teams in FBS this season. So I'll go Ball State. Another easy victory. I'll go 45-17. Ball State over Miami, Ohio. Next is a very tough game, and I might have to pick this game kind of like I did the Marshall East Carolina game. Bowling Green at Buffalo, two teams with very good quarterbacks. Both teams have been they've been playing pretty solid in the MAC. The MAC actually has a lot of pretty solid teams this season. The MAC is probably, I would say, is definitely probably the best non-BCS conference this season in terms of teams. I'd probably consider them top-heavy teams. They have some really talented teams in the MAC. But I think I'm going to have to go with Buffalo. Buffalo with home field advantage. I've seen them play a couple times. Look very good. Aside from the one game, I can't remember who they played, but they got absolutely destroyed one game. But aside from that, they've been playing very, very well. They have Khalil Mack, who's going to be a top pick in the draft. He should create some havoc. Oh, never mind. I don't know what I was talking about. It was Toledo. They lost 3 games, and it's the 3 pretty good gosh dang teams. They played Ohio State, played them tough, and they got blew out by Baylor. They lost to Toledo a couple weeks ago, which is a tough game by only 10 points. So I guess I was mistaken there. But I'll go with Buffalo. Like you've seen, they played some pretty tough competition. So who knows what they would have been? They probably could have one loss right now if they would have not played Ohio State and Baylor. But I'll go with Buffalo. Good quarterback. Front 7 obviously is going to be one of the best in the MAC with Khalil Mack, obviously. Khalil Mack in the MAC is funny. I go Buffalo by a touchdown. I'll go 38-31 Buffalo over Bowling Green. Massachusetts at Ohio. Ohio looked very bad last week. I watched them play against Kent State and got absolutely blown out. They looked horrible. But I don't think they look as bad as Massachusetts. Massachusetts is one of the worst teams in the MAC. I have to go with Tyler Tettleton with his last game as a college player at Ohio. I'll give them a 2-touchdown victory. I'll go 31-17 Ohio over Massachusetts. Eastern Michigan at Central Michigan. I have to go with Central Michigan because Eastern Michigan is one of the worst teams, and I've been one of the worst teams in the FBS the last couple seasons. So I think I'm definitely going to go Central Michigan by 10 points. I'll go 30-20 Central Michigan over Eastern Michigan. Texas State at Troy. Out of the 2 teams South Alabama has played, Texas State has looked better. They run an option attack, so I think they'll keep the ball on the ground. I think I'll give Troy this because I'll give Texas State this because they both have a common opponent in Georgia State. And Troy struggled with Georgia State. What the heck? How do you struggle with Georgia State? So, and I'm kind of biased because that's South Alabama's rival, but I'll go Texas State. I think they'll run for a good bit against Troy's soft front 7. So I'll go Texas State by 10 points. I'll go Texas State 34-24 over Troy. Let's see, the Patriots are going for a Hail Mary. Are they going to get it? We have Arkansas and LSU next. I want to see this Hail Mary. Tom Brady throws it deep, and it is picked off. Oh, he dropped it. Okay. Arkansas, LSU. I think obviously LSU is going to win this game. Arkansas has had one of the worst years this season. I just don't think that Arkansas really said it's all season. I don't think they have the personnel right now to compete with what Brett Bielema wants to run. Also, I've actually seen some Arkansas fans that already want Brett Bielema out of there. I don't like the guy, so don't blame him. But you can't lie. He's a good coach of Wisconsin, so obviously he's going to do some good things at Arkansas eventually. If they don't run him out before then. But LSU, you saw how good they played last week against A&M. Very impressive. Defense played great against Johnny Manziel. Again, their offense was unstoppable. So playing at home, this will be no problem in a rivalry game, definitely. LSU I'll go by a lot. I'll go LSU 42, Arkansas 17. Florida International at Florida Atlantic. I'm going to pick Florida Atlantic in this game because Florida International is one of the worst teams in FBS right now, or definitely one of the worst teams in the USA. Florida, they both have 2 common opponents. They both have a common opponent that I can think of off the top of my head. Southern Miss. Florida Atlantic blew out Southern Miss. Florida National played a close game as Southern Miss has not won a game in 2 years. So I think Florida National won by a field goal. But I got Florida Atlantic playing at home by 10 points, 32-21 over Florida International. Next we have Fresno State at San Jose State. This is going to actually be a really good game if you want to watch good quarterback play. These 2 quarterbacks that play in this game will be drafted in the first 2 rounds, maybe the first round of this year's NFL draft. You have Derek Carr from Fresno State and David Fowles from San Jose State. This will be a high-scoring game. It will. And playing at home, I guess this is a rivalry because you have California teams here. But, man, this is actually a tough one. This could probably be one of the toughest games for Fresno State that they played all season. But I still think they get it done. I think they'll expose us. San Jose State secondary. Derek Carr had 7 touchdowns last week. Absolutely went off. Have a really good running wide receiver in Devontae Adams, who's actually a Fred Biletnikoff Award winner finalist. And he's only a sophomore. But good team. Good team Fresno State is. And I think high-scoring game, but I think they get it done. I think it's a ridiculously high-scoring game. I'll go Fresno State, 55 to 40 to 45 over San Jose State. Next, we have Miami at Pittsburgh. I think that Pittsburgh actually steals this game. I think they are able to run the football against Miami. I think Miami, they coming off of kind of a dead atmosphere type performance against Virginia. I don't think they'll really be hyped up for this game because it really doesn't matter in terms of bowl games. They'll make one anyway. Pittsburgh is trying to get another win to get into a better bowl game. I think they have 6 wins right now, if I'm not mistaken. So this will, or do they have 5? I'm pretty sure they have 6. Yeah, they're 6-5 right now. So they'll end up the season 7-5 if they win this game. I think they do. I think when they win this game, kind of close. Kind of like the Syracuse game was last week. They won against Syracuse because they blocked the extra point, won by 1 point. Boy, I think they did to Stephen Morris a good bit. I don't think Miami will be able to run the football. I think Pittsburgh will be able to. Playing at home, I give them a field goal victory, 27-24 over Miami. Next, we have Washington State at Washington. Washington really surprised me. Their quarterback came in last week. Keith Price was injured, and their backup quarterback came in and absolutely lit up Oregon State, who's a pretty good Oregon State football team. That really surprised me. Washington State last week came out and won. They're now bowl eligible, which is pretty awesome because it's been the first time in forever since Washington State's been bowl eligible. And obviously you can tell that Mike Leach is going to do good things at Washington State. A rivalry game, obviously. Two quality teams. It's going to be, depending on if Keith Price plays or not, it's going to be, I think either way it's going to be a good game regardless. But I think Washington wins. I think they do. I think Washington State obviously will give them a fight to the very end. But I just don't see a scenario with Washington losing this one because they have too good of athletes. Bishop Sankey, Austin Safari Jenkins, good defensive players. So I'll go Washington by 10 points. I'll go 42. I'll go by a touchdown, 42-35, Washington over Washington State. Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon's just completely fallen off the map lately. It's sad how much they've just fallen off the map. It's pretty sad, but regardless, this is tough. I mean, I think I'll go Oregon State. I think I do. I think Oregon is just completely, like I said, falling off the map. I think their players really don't care anymore. I mean, they're fighting for a BCS bowl, but they're 13 right now, so I'm not sure if they'll get that regardless, even if they win. Maybe. It depends on what happens this week, but I think Oregon State comes out fired up and wanting to beat Oregon badly. I think they won this game more than Oregon does, and it's going to be tough though playing in Eugene. But I think Sean Mannion, that offense, Storm Woods, the running back, they have a big game offensively. And I think they study the Arizona tape and figure out what they did against Oregon on defense. Marcus Mariotta's hurt, not sure if he'll play in this game or not. So I'm going to give Oregon a slim victory and an upset win by a field goal. 45-42 over rival Oregon. And that's a stretch, I know, but I can see it happening. So I mean, Oregon can come out and blow them out, but I have faith in the Beavers. 45-42. South Florida against UCF. UCF will not be denied the AAC championship because of South Florida. South Florida has been a disappointment this season. They've grabbed a couple surprise wins here and there, but I still think UCF comes out, blows them out. Great team. They'll be in a BCS bowl if they win out, which I think they obviously will. And I'm not sure I think if Auburn loses against Alabama, I think Auburn still makes a BCS bowl. They think they play in the Sugar, and I think that's the game that UCF would end up getting to play in. That'll be a good game, actually, I think. But I think UCF wins. I think they do by a lot. 45. I don't know. Let's go 38-17 UCF over South Florida, and then it's playing at home too on ESPN. So. Alright, Saturday games. We have a lot of games to go, man. How long have I been doing this for? Like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I've only got through Friday. 20 minutes, exactly. Wow. Alright, Florida State at Florida. First game on ESPN Saturday. I mean, obviously, it's gonna be a blowout, I think. I think if it's a different story, if Jeff Driscoll or Tyler Murphy plays, I think it would be a close game till the end. But it's sad because Florida might not even sell their stadium out for a big rivalry game against the number 2 team in the country. They might very well might not sell the stadium out. That's a sad thing, but it could very well happen. But I think Florida State blows them out. I think they do. Just because of the quarterback play. It's such a big difference in quarterback play. Skylar Morton-Weg is not ready for this type of stage. Obviously, you saw last week, can't play well against Georgia Southern. How are you supposed to beat the number 2 team in the country who just beat Idaho 80-14? So Florida State by a lot. I'll go 45-17. Florida State over Florida, and that's being kind of generous. Ohio State at Michigan. I actually just read an article just recently, as like an hour ago. There was a backup player of Michigan being interviewed, and he was anonymous, talking about how Brady Hoke has lost the team already, how they have no confidence going to this game. They think they'll lose this game by 50 points. They will be lucky to score 20, I think he said. And they'll be lucky to hold Ohio State under 50. So that doesn't sound good. But Michigan has been really disappointing. They've completely fallen off the map. They've just been losing these close games. They got lucky early in the season winning a bunch of close games too. But they'll still make a bowl game, but they just, like I said, they're not playing well defensively or offensively. And like I said in the article, they lose a lot of players this season, or over the off season. So they might not be as good next year, which is not a good thing. But I think Ohio State wins this game easily. I think being a rivalry game, obviously, teams would be fired up, even though if you're a Michigan fan, you don't like what you just heard, having no confidence at all. I mean, if you're Michigan, you got to believe you can win to have a chance. But, I mean, it's at Michigan, so, I mean, obviously it's going to be a crazy environment, but I'll go Ohio State by 17. I'll go 42-28. I don't even know if that's 17. It's 14. I'm an idiot, but no. Let's go 42-24. That's the toughest part about these predictions, is actually coming up with the score. You can figure out who's winning. You can win, and you can kind of gauge by how much, but coming up with the actual score is the hardest thing off the top of your head. But I'll go 42-24. Ohio State over Michigan. Minnesota at Michigan State. This will be a fun game, actually. Michigan State, I think, has a good chance to beat Ohio State. But I think they have, for starters, they have to beat Minnesota, which I think they have no problem doing so, because Michigan State has a ridiculous defense. I've said time and time again on here, I think they could have the best defense in the country, if not best, at least top 3. And their offense have been coming along. Connor Cook made some big plays last week. I laughed because in the stat sheet he did, but he had like an 80-yard throw last week, and it was all the receiver. Receiver made a ridiculous play. But I mean, you got to make plays. If he doesn't make the throw, he don't have 80-yard touchdown pass there. So I mean, you got to put yourself in position to make good plays, and that's what they're doing. And playing good defense as always, running the football by committee, and I think they win. I'm not sure if they score a lot. I think they might score at tops 24, because Minnesota's been playing some tough defense. They played really tough last week against Wisconsin, but they couldn't score. And that's going to be even tougher of a task this week against Michigan State. So I think Michigan State holds Minnesota too. I'll give them 1 touchdown, but I'll go 24-7 Michigan State over Minnesota in this one. Alright, here we go, guys. One of the best games of the week because of what's on the line. Number 24 Duke going into Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina for the ACC Coastal Division. I have no clue who's in what division, but I do know that if Duke wins this game, they go to the ACC Championship game to play Florida State. How awesome would that be for Duke to beat Florida State and go to a BCS Bowl? That'd be awesome. But I'm rooting for Duke. I want Duke to win this game. It'd be awesome to see them in the ACC Championship game. But I'm kind of scared because they about choked last week against Wake Forest. I watched that game. That's the game I wanted to wake up and watch because I wanted to see Duke keep rolling. And they almost choked. They did. They didn't play considerably well, but I will say they did get absolutely gypped. They were driving down the field, and the guy fumbled for Duke. I forget who it was, the tight end, and he was completely down. They showed the replay. What it was, Wake Forest recovered the kick, brought it back for a touchdown. So 7-0, Wake Forest over Duke, just like that. And you go back and watch the replay. He's obviously down. I mean, either his knee was down, his arm was down, which is down by contact. If your arm's down, and it might have been both. And they didn't overturn it, which completely shocked me. And that just had Wake Forest get the momentum their way. It was 14-0 at one point, and Duke comes out and wins 28-21. But they found a way to win. And that's what matters, is they still have the opportunity to win their division. If they don't win today or Saturday, Duke wins. Georgia Tech wins that division because they would have the same record as Georgia Tech, and Duke would have the same record. And Georgia Tech has the head-to-head. Duke has won, 7 straight games, which is ridiculous. But North Carolina has gone on a tear themselves. They've won 5 straight games after starting out the season absolutely horrible. And it's kind of crazy because Bryn Renner's out for the season, and Marquis something has been playing quarterback, and he's been playing lights out. They've been playing ridiculous on offense. They scored 80 points last week in 3 quarters against Old Dominion, which I thought had a chance in that game, and they scored 80 points in 3 quarters. The coaches had a mutual agreement to shorten the fourth quarter to 10 minutes, which is crazy. They could have easily scored 100 points in that game. That would have been. They scored 3 points less than their basketball team did that day. That's crazy. So I'm scared for Duke. I am. And this is a North Carolina team that's on a roll, and they want to stop Duke from, because this is Alabama Auburn of basketball, of college basketball. So obviously it translates into football too, especially when stuff like this is on the line. I mean, North Carolina's gonna make a bowl game nonetheless, but they still want to keep Duke from playing at home. They want to keep Duke from playing for the ACC championship game. But this is probably the hardest pick of the day, because my head's telling me North Carolina's gonna win because of how well they've been playing, and I think Duke. I'm not sure if they're ready for the stage yet. My heart's telling me Duke. I think I'm gonna go with my heart on this one. I'm gonna go with my heart with Duke, 35-32 over North Carolina. I want Duke to win so bad, and I think they can. I think they can gash North Carolina's defense running the football. I cannot remember the receiver's name, but he was an absolute beast for Duke last week. He already has 1,000 yards on through the air this year. And Anthony Boone looked better than the other quarterback. Anthony Boone threw the ball really well. They have another quarterback they bring in goal line situations. He's actually tied the Duke school record for touchdowns in a season. So I think they had the weapons to beat North Carolina. You have to see North Carolina's played the last couple weeks. I mean, they beat some ACC teams, which is no fluke. I mean, they've won some games, some pretty convincing games. So I think I'm gonna go Duke. I'm gonna go Duke. 42-38 over North Carolina, and they go on to play Florida State and beat Florida State in the ACC championship game. All right, next we have Rutgers at Connecticut. Sorry, I took so long on that game. That was just really hard to pick. Rutgers at Connecticut. I think Rutgers wins this game, no problem. Connecticut actually won last week against Temple. That was their first one of the season. Temple was winning by a ton, and then Connecticut came out, shut Temple out in the second half, and won by a touchdown or so. That's first one of the season. So congrats to them. But Rutgers has been playing bad as well, but not as bad as Connecticut. I mean, this is probably obviously a rivalry. I mean, a New Jersey rivalry here. I like border states. I'm not real sure, but I mean, obviously they have to be rivals. So I think Rutgers gets it done. I think Connecticut's just very, very bad this season. They've gone through coaching changes and everything, so I think Rutgers gets an easy win by at least 2 touchdowns. I go 31-17 over Connecticut. Temple at Memphis. Why is this game on ESPN News? I mean, I understand. I guess they have a contract with the AAC. They've been airing their games the last couple, I think the whole season. But it used to be, or it tends to be better games than Temple at Memphis, 2 of the worst teams in the conference. So, and I don't think this is a rivalry. I don't understand. But Temple is very bad. Memphis is bad. Temple is, like I said, very bad. Memphis is just bad. So, and with them playing at home, I think they can get it done against Temple. I think they beat Temple because Temple is just that bad. They lost to Idaho. So I'll go Memphis by a touchdown, 28-21 over Temple. Kansas State at Kansas. Kansas was, everybody thought, could get their second win of the season in Big 12 play after going winless for 3 straight years in Big 12 play last week against Iowa State, and they got absolutely beat by a lot, shut out by Iowa State. So that was a shocker. So I think Kansas State has no problem in this one. They almost beat Oklahoma last week. They played really tough. I thought they were going to beat Oklahoma, but they didn't. I was wrong there, but I think Kansas State blows out Kansas. I get it's a rivalry game, obviously. So Bronk just got a huge catch, but I'll go Kansas State by light, 45-14. Kansas State over Kansas. Wake Forest at Vandy. I just mentioned Wake Forest, how well they've been. Well, not how well. They almost beat Duke. They played well against Duke last week. They played well against Miami earlier in the season, too. So they've been competitive for the most part. The only team I think they got blown out by was Florida State, obviously. Vanderbilt came out, had a sluggish win last week against Tennessee, but all that matters is you got to win. So congrats to Vanderbilt. I mean, it's a big thing for Vanderbilt fans to beat Tennessee. So I'm sure they're happy with that. And I think they beat Wake Forest. I don't think it's really a contest. I'm a fan of Wake Forest. I'm a fan of Vanderbilt. I'm always intrigued by Wake Forest. I think Jim Groves is one of the best coaches in the country. Even though some of the things he's done this season I've been questionable of, especially the way he's been running his offense with the personnel he has. He's been running option offense when he really doesn't have the option quarterback. He has a drop back passer. Been kind of screwing him up there. But I think Wake Forest has one of the worst resources into attracting players. I mean they're an ACC team. That's pretty big time being a BCS level program, and you probably could send out a survey to all the recruits in the country. Bet you 90% of them would not know who Wake Forest is. That's sad, but the way he has a competitive program with what they get year in and year out. They actually won the ACC not too long ago. That's impressive. And he always has a tough secondary. He always has NFL caliber corners. So with that said, I'm going to go Vanderbilt. They're playing at home too, so it's not going to be a problem. I'm not sure if this is a rivalry game. They've actually played the last week of the season the past couple of years, so I'm not really sure if this is considered a rivalry, but I'll go Vanderbilt by 2 touchdowns, 31-17 over Wake Forest. Maryland, North Carolina State. I got this upset pick right last week. I had East Carolina for North Carolina State. Got that right, but Maryland, I think, has some playmakers that beat North Carolina State easily. North Carolina State's quarterback situation is awful. They're all not playing well. I think Maryland's Stephon Diggs, C.J. Brown, whoever plays quarterback, gets the win easy over North Carolina State by 2 touchdowns as well. But 34-17, Maryland over North Carolina State. Southern Miss at UAB. UAB, I'm sure, is in the bottom of the CUSA this season. Does Southern Miss have a chance? Do they have a chance to win this game? UAB's 2-9. They've beat Northwestern State and FIU. So, man, Southern Miss might have a chance in this one, but you just can't pick Southern Miss with the way they've played the last couple of seasons. There's no way. This is a rivalry game. I'm pretty sure it is. But UAB at home in front of probably 100 fans. I think UAB gets it done by a touchdown. I'll go 24-17 UAB over Southern Miss. Air Force at Colorado State. Colorado State got blanked last week. That kind of shocked me. They played against Utah State and got blanked. But I think they still play good defense. They have 10 number running backs, which is really impressive. When I watched them play against Alabama, their quarterback really impressed me with how his pocket presence, his accuracy, managed the game really well. I mean, you can tell that he's Jim McElwain's a Nick Saban disciple. Air Force has been struggling this season, so I think Colorado State gets a win. Pretty easy. I'll go 28-14. Colorado State over Air Force. Colorado at Utah, I think, no question here, Utah gets a win. I think, though, Colorado State, didn't they? They lost, Colorado won a couple weeks ago against, wow, hold on. Okay, I was about to say, I thought they had 3 FCS teams scheduled this season. Fresno State, I want to check real quick. Fresno State's 10-0. They have one game left. So they're 10-0 because their game against Colorado got postponed because of flooding in Colorado when that week happened. So I was wondering if that game was ever going to get postponed, because that could really help. I mean, really hurt Fresno State's chances of making a BCS Bowl if they only play 11 games. So that's what they will play in a conference championship, which would put them to 12-0, but still. Regardless, I think Utah wins this game. They play their competition, which means they might struggle in this one. They're playing at home. They should beat Colorado. They should handle them, I think, by at least 10 points. I'll go 30 to 20 over Colorado. Wyoming at Utah State. Wyoming almost lost to Hawaii last week. It took like 20 overtime. They won like by 57 to 54, something like that. So I'm going to go with Chucky Keaton and the Utah State Aggies in this one. I think they should win this game pretty easy. They played well last week, so I'll give them the victory over Wyoming by 2 touchdowns, 31-17. No. What am I talking about? Wyoming will score more points. Brett Smith is a really good quarterback. They'll score more points. 42 to 30. Utah State over Wyoming. South Alabama at Georgia State. What is kind of aggravating to me, I got asked to broadcast this game. I'm always scared I'm going to be like 30 minutes into this video and I accidentally stopped recording for some reason, so I had to check real quick. But I was asked to broadcast this game, and I can't because I'm going to be in Auburn for the Iron Bowl. But Georgia State plays in the Georgia Dome, the home of the Falcons and the home of the SEC championship game. So how awesome would that have been to broadcast a game from the Georgia Dome? That would have been amazing. I'm pretty sure I'll have the opportunity to do so the next couple of seasons, but I would have definitely jumped on the opportunity. South Alabama won last week against Louisiana Monroe pretty convincingly, and it really surprised me how well they played and how well they contained Colton Browning. Their offense played really well, aside from the first quarter. They were held to field goals in the first quarter. Ross Matheny didn't play well. But Georgia State's bad. They're very bad, and they are still winless their first season in the Sun Belt. They're 0-11 right now. And they're in our way of making a bowl game. We're 4-6 right now, and if we win our next 2 games, it's pretty much a given that we make the GoDaddy Bowl. From what I hear, I think we will make the GoDaddy Bowl over other like 8-6 teams, 8-4 teams that's in the Sun Belt, which I think is a smart marketing move with the GoDaddy Bowl because I mean obviously South Alabama's first bowl game being in their home stadium, a lot of South Alabama fans will show up, me included. So that would be pretty cool. And it's a tough road, though. Aside from this, I mean, I think we win this game. I'll go ahead and say, if we lose this game, I'll be mad forever with this thing in our way of a bowl game. Georgia State played close against Arkansas State last week. They've been playing pretty close. So obviously, they're getting better over time. That's kind of scary for me, especially playing in the Georgia Dome. But I think we can win this game. And like I said, if they lose, I'll be disappointed forever, especially if we win our next game. But I'll go South Alabama, 30-35. No, we always end up missing an extra point and then going for 2 and failing. So that right there is the reason we've lost like 2 games this season, because we missed the extra point and we ended up going for 2 and not getting it. So that's 2 points right there off the board. We lost 3 games by 1 point. That's the reason we've lost 2 of those games. So something weird will happen. I'll go 34 to 24 South Alabama over Georgia State. And then we play Louisiana Lafayette next week, who's considered to be the best team in the Sun Belt, which that being a game to rely, that's the reason that game is in between us making a bowl game. That'll be huge. But we got to take it one at a time, and hopefully we can beat Georgia State, which I think we will, 34-24. North Texas at Tulsa. North Texas can play some good offense. This is probably the worst year they've had in the last decade. Last week of the season for Tulsa, but go North Texas, mean green by 10 points. I'll go 27-17 North Texas over Tulsa. Tulane at Rice. 2 teams that are bowl eligible who have been kind of surprising in this USA. But playing at home, I think Rice gets the win. I think they have a better quarterback, even though it's kind of tough saying because, I mean, got the son of Joe Montana there at Tulane. But they have a quarterback which is dual threat, can run the football, can throw the football, and have some pretty good players around them. So I'm going to go Rice in a high-scoring game considerably. I'll go 42-34, Rice over Tulane. Goodness, man, the Patriots look like they're about to come back. 24-7, and they got the ball in Bronco territory. That'll put them down by only 10 points. Who's that fumbled? Monte Ball fumbled. Rob Ninkovich with the fumble. Is that, I can't see. I cannot see. I have the worst vision in the world, guys. I should be wearing my glasses. I have them right here. But it reflects weird off the screen, and it looks stupid. So I don't wear them. But I have horrible vision. I really hope I can get a laser eye surgery. Where is that at? Okay, BYU at Nevada. BYU, I think, beats Nevada. BYU really, really disappointed me last week against Notre Dame. I thought they were going to beat Notre Dame, but they came out late a goose egg. They couldn't score, and they couldn't hold Notre Dame. But I think it's a different story this week. Playing at Nevada, I think they control the line of scrimmage. They play really good defense, have a lot of great players, including Kyle Van Noy in the front seven, who I think has dropped off a lot of draft boards down at the second round, but I think he's a top 10 caliber player. If he came out last season, he'd probably been at least a top 20 pick at least. But I think Taysom Hill has a big game on the ground. I think he has a big game through the air. They explode offensively and hold Nevada to a minimum defensively. I think BYU wins this game by 17. Or maybe more than that. Let's see. I'll go 38-20 BYU over Nevada. All right, guys, here we go. I'm gonna make a further. I'm not sure if I'm making a hate week video or a preview video yet on Alabama and Auburn. So I'm just gonna leave that. I'll probably put an annotation on the screen when I upload that, so you can go watch the full video. It's probably a long video talking about this. I mean, I gotta make a long video on this because I mean it's the biggest game, the biggest rivalry game between the two, which I believe. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the biggest rivalry in college football. I think that this probably is the biggest rivalry game out of the two, the biggest game between the two in history. I mean, this has national championship implications surrounding it. So, I'm going 42-30 Alabama over Auburn. I have a preview video coming out Tuesday. So, preview video Tuesday, and I'll link that right here so you can click on the screen if you're watching this on Tuesday or Wednesday or any other day. You can go watch that. My prediction might change between then, so I'll just have to think about it a little bit more. And touchdown Patriots. Alright, next we have Baylor at TCU. Baylor, man, what happened to you last week? The offense laid a goose egg. That one play, that fumble at like the inch-yard line completely changed the momentum. I fully believe if Baylor scores there, they're in the game to the very end. Maybe a loss, but I think they're especially more competitive at least. But I think they beat TCU. TCU's been having a really down year. You can't get anything going offensively or defensively. And when they win, it's not by a lot, even against teams like Kansas. But Baylor, I think, comes out, has a big game offensively. They rebound after last week. Still fighting for a BCS berth as what do they call it? An at-large berth, sorry. But I think they could get it though. I think they might get an invite somewhere. But I'll go Baylor by a lot, I think. I'll go 42-21 Baylor over TCU. Penn State at Wisconsin. Penn State, did they lose to Nebraska last week? Is that who they played? It's slipping my mind right now. Yeah, they lost to Nebraska last week. That kind of shocked me. But they touchdown Patriots then. I guess they didn't score before. But I think Wisconsin really is a top 10 team in the country. I think they're very good and very underrated, even at number 15 in the country. I think Wisconsin is really, really good. And I hope Wisconsin runs the table, which is last week. This is the last week they can do so. But I hope they get a BCS berth because they're really worthy of it because they're very good. I think they've beat Penn State quite easily. The running game will tear up the Penn State defense. They'll be able to stop a freshman quarterback in Christian Hackenberg. This will be Chris Borland's last game, last regular season game as a member of the Wisconsin Badgers. He is the best linebacker, I think, in the country. So I think they blow out Penn State by a lot. I'll go 31-14 Wisconsin over Penn State. Georgia at Georgia Tech, and man, I think you got to pick Georgia Tech in this one. I think you do because Georgia has had so many injuries. So I cannot talk. They've had so many injuries, and they're now without Aaron Murray. I'll be surprised if they win this game. I think Georgia Tech playing at home will seize the opportunity to finally beat Georgia because it's been so long since they've done so, and they have the perfect opportunity to do so this week, and I think they can get it done. I think they think they beat Georgia by, still not by a lot, even with the injury to Aaron Murray. He tore his ACLs out for the season, but I think they win by a touchdown. I'll go 34-27 Georgia Tech over Georgia. Purdue at Indiana. This is actually a big rivalry game for the two. Indiana's completely fallen off the map. I do not know what happened to them. They were an insane offensive team earlier on in the season. I thought they had, I'm looking about mid-season, I thought they had the best shot to beat Ohio State comparing how they did last year against Ohio State and the way they were playing this season. I thought that was going to be the same exact game like it was last year. They ended up scoring 50, I think, on Ohio State last season. And then they hit Wisconsin and got held to 3 points. And ever since then, they have not done anything on offense. So I'm not sure if it's a confidence thing or what, but I think they get back to it this week because Purdue is just so bad. They're so bad in Indiana, the way they score offense. It's kind of like Oregon. Not talent-wise, no, dear God. But it's kind of the way Oregon does things. They beat mid-tier teams by a ton, and when they play good teams, they either lose or they play close against. Which in Indiana's case, they lose most of the time. But using that method, I think they beat Purdue by a lot. I'll go 52-17. Indiana over Purdue. I think it's that bad. Idaho at New Mexico State. Both of these teams got absolutely blown out last week. New Mexico State got put up, I think Fresno State ended up putting up 60-something on them. And Idaho obviously got put up 80 points put up against them. So what did that do to Idaho's average? I'm curious to see what their points per game is on the season, if they're like last in the country. Yes, wow, they are actually last in the country. I was just pulling that out my butt. They are actually last in the country in points against. 49 points a game people were scoring against them. Wow. North Texas scored 40. Wyoming scored 42. Northern Illinois scored 45. Washington scored 42. They got beat they beat Temple. Like, what the heck, Temple? Lost to Fresno State 61-14. Arkansas State put up 48. Ole Miss put up 59. Texas State put up 37. When the least amount of points you give up a season is 37, something's not going right for you. Old Dominion put up 59. Then Florida State put up 80, obviously, so that's sad. So I guess that's a short thing for saying I think New Mexico State wins this one. Even though New Mexico State hasn't been doing that great either. By any means, they're also 1-10. Wow. New Mexico State is 125 in the country. They're second to last. So this is the worst scoring team in the country, the worst defensive team in the country versus the second worst defensive team in the country. Wow. I don't know what to say there. I think you have to give it to the home team, and they're second worst. So I don't know if this will be a high offensive scoring game because both offenses aren't good, or a low scoring game because vice versa. If you have a high scoring game because the defenses are bad, or a low scoring game because the offenses are so bad. So this is hard. I go to New Mexico State by a touchdown, 34-27. Boston College at Syracuse. Syracuse needs this one to make a bowl game, and I don't think they get it. Boston College keeps rolling. It's their eighth win of the season, which I predicted. I predicted 8-4 for Boston College, and they're going to get it because they're such a senior-led team. Kevin Pierre-Louis, one of the most underrated linebackers in the country. Andre Williams should be going to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. I think he has another big game. Boston College wins this game by a lot. Boston College 38-24 over Syracuse. Virginia Tech at Virginia. If Virginia Tech loses this game, I'm going to be very, very disappointed in them. They have 4. Yep. No. Wait a second. Is Virginia Tech? Just wait a second here. So Virginia Tech okay, I gotta check something real quick. Virginia Tech has 3 losses in the season in conference play. So does Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech has the head-to-head against them. I mean, Virginia Tech has the head-to-head over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has the head-to-head over Duke. Duke has the head-to-head over Virginia Tech. So if they all end up with 3 conference losses, what happens? Let me check real quick. See if I'm getting this right. Yeah, wow. If Duke, North Carolina, what the heck? If Miami beats, who does Miami play? Pittsburgh. If Miami beats Pittsburgh, they'll end up 5-3. If Virginia Tech beats Syracuse, they'll be 5-3. If North Carolina beats Duke, they'll be 5-3, and Duke will be 5-3. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-3 teams, and I think that goes to the highest ranked team, which I think in this case would have to be Duke because they're already 24. I don't know, man. That's a cluster. That's a cluster F. So I don't know. Forget that. I just had to see because that could very well happen. But Virginia Tech, to cut it short, I think should beat Virginia. Virginia's been one of the worst teams in the ACC this season by far. I think the worst team. They have the worst record in the ACC. Virginia Tech, we all know, is not being good on offense by any means, but I think their defense finds a way to get it done from this week. They've kind of given up on the season, it seems like Virginia Tech has, but I think their secondary's too stout. Their front seven's too stout. Jack Tyler's a really good linebacker, probably one of the best in the ACC. So I'm going to give Virginia Tech a good win. I'll go 24-7 Virginia Tech over Virginia. Northwestern at Illinois. I think Northwestern gets their first Big Ten win of the season this week. It's so sad. I think they're so much better than what the record says. I mean, they've completely fallen off since Ohio State. And I still to this day think they should have won that game. Or at least had the opportunity to win. But Illinois is not playing well themselves. They've got a couple surprising wins, but I think two Chicago-type teams, Chicago area teams, I guess it's a big rivalry as well. Northwestern, I think, Ken Coulter in his final game as a member of the Northwestern Wildcats leads them to victory. And this is also the last game for Nathan Schillhouse, so two quarterbacks playing their final collegiate game. Come down to the wire, but I think Northwestern wins by a field goal, 35-32 over Illinois. Louisiana Tech at UTSA. I got UTSA in this one because I've got their pick right in the last couple weeks, and Louisiana Tech isn't good at all. So I got UTSA by 10, 31-21. Next we have UTEP and Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee can put up some points, and UTEP is not good at all. One of the worst teams in the Conference USA. And Middle Tennessee's been one of the most impressive in the conference. So Middle Tennessee throwing the football wins this game by a lot. 45-20. No, 45-24 over UTEP. Arkansas State at Western Kentucky. I think that kind of surprised me. Arkansas State almost lost to Georgia State last week. Kind of worries me, like I said, about the South game. But I think I think Western Kentucky wins this game at home. I think they have I don't know though. It's tough. I don't know. Give it to Arkansas State. I don't know what happened last week. I just know they almost lost to Georgia State, but I think they have the playmakers. I think they do. I mean, it's going to be tough playing at Western Kentucky, but I think they get it done. I think they have playmakers. David Oku, their quarterback, whose name's slipping my mind right now, but he's a transfer from Utah State who took over for Chucky Keaton and led them to a bowl game. Adam Kennedy is his name, but they have playmakers. I think they get the win by a field goal again. I actually go with the same score. I'll go 35-32. Arkansas State over Western Kentucky. Same score as last week. Iowa State at West Virginia. As bad as West Virginia's been this season at points, I still think they can beat Iowa State. Kind of crazy to think that they're the only loss of the season for Oklahoma State. But Iowa State played well last week, beat Kansas, got their first conference win, but I still think West Virginia playing at home has a big advantage. Especially they have a lot of talented running backs. I think they should run for a good bit of yards, so I'll go West Virginia by 10. 34-24 for Iowa State. Next we have Clemson at South Carolina. And I'm not trying to make anybody mad here, but I do think that Clemson is by far the most overrated team in the country. Because I think Todd Boyd is the most overrated player in the country. I think Sammy Watkins is the most overrated wide. No, I'm kidding. I think Sammy Watkins is the beast. He's one of the best wide receivers in the country. Just trying to make a joke there, but I do think Todd Boyd is one of the most overrated players in the country. But with that said, I think South Carolina playing at home wins this game. I think Clemson's really exposed for being a weak having a weak defense. I think Taj Boyd has a couple picks. I think Jadeveon Clowney's in that backfield, create some havoc for Taj Boyd. He was scared a season ago. I think he'll be scared again today or that day. In Columbia, I think Connor Shaw has a huge game. I think, is he a senior? I'm pretty sure he's a senior. So this is his last game in Columbia. He won't lose to Clemson for the first time. So I'll go South Carolina by I can only go with a touchdown in this game. I'll go 35. I don't know though. Let's go 38 to 35. A field goal game. South Carolina over Clemson. Yeah. All right. Next we have Notre Dame at Stanford. I think Notre Dame gets smacked in this one because they've had so many injuries. Their center just went down this past week. I don't think Tommy Rees can win this game alone against Stanford. I think Stanford's defense will be swarming in that Notre Dame backfield. A rivalry game, playing at home at night in front of, I'm guessing, a packed crowd, especially for a Notre Dame game. I mean, Stanford sometimes has a packed crowd, which is kind of sad, but with how well they've been playing. But I really do think Kevin Hogan's a really good quarterback. I think Tyler Gaffney is one of the best in the Pac-12 running the football, so I think they win this game by a good bit. Let's go 34-17. Stanford over Notre Dame. Next we have Tennessee at Kentucky. Tennessee obviously won't make a bowl game again this season. They're 4-7 right now, if I'm not mistaken. 4-7. Yeah, 4-7 right now. They need to be able to go to a bowl game that had to beat Vanderbilt last week, but they didn't. He lost to Kentucky last season. That was the difference maker in the Derek Dooley decision. Got him fired. And I think Tennessee fans actually are appreciative of that. But I don't think they lose Kentucky 2 straight years. Kentucky's been playing too bad. They gave up 59 points to a torn up offense of Georgia last week. So I think Tennessee comes in there this week and beats Kentucky down pretty bad. 35-21, Tennessee over Kentucky. Louisiana Monroe at Louisiana Lafayette. This is actually a pretty big rivalry game, obviously, two Louisiana teams. It's going to actually be a pretty good game because two quarterbacks, which are not heard of a lot, but they're two really underrated quarterbacks. So you have Colton Browning of Louisiana Monroe and Terrence Broadway of Louisiana Lafayette. Both can put up some points, and I'm going to have to go with Louisiana Lafayette in this one. I mean, they're predicted to win the conference. I think they are. I think they have the best record right now, and I think they will end up with the best record. But playing at home in this rivalry game, I think they had the better defense. And Louisiana Lafayette, aside from Colton Browning, nothing about them really impressed me last week against South Alabama. The defense looked small, slow, and I think the dual threat ability of Terrence Broadway will take advantage of that. Don't get me wrong, though. Colton Browning is a great quarterback. He will not let this team lay down lightly, especially in a rivalry game. His last time playing in this game. But I think in the end, Louisiana Lafayette pulls away and wins this game by about 10. Let's go 42-32. Lafayette over Monroe. Next, we have Texas A&M at Missouri, and I'm kind of skeptical about this game. I want to say Texas A&M, but the way they played last week, if I picked this game last week, I'd have obviously said A&M probably, but I just didn't see anything from Texas A&M that would give me a reason to pick them over Missouri this week. I mean, Missouri's playing at home. They're playing for a chance to play for the SEC title and maybe even a national championship. Their stadium will be absolutely packed out and going crazy to the max. I mean, a chance to beat Johnny Manziel for the first time. And I've kind of doubted Missouri throughout the season. I've had my doubts. I think I picked them in a lot of the situations on here, but I've had some second thoughts about it. Kind of doubted them. I actually doubted them last week because of James Franklin coming back, and I didn't know how well he was going to play over Matty Bach, and he obviously played really well. Obliterated Ole Miss. So Missouri is not getting the respect they deserve with how well they've been playing. So I tip my hat to them because they've been playing well against all the doubters. So I think they come out, prove people wrong once again, have not necessarily a convincing win over A&M, but a win nonetheless. And I think I'm not sure how well they can contain Johnny Manziel in playing his last SEC game, but I think Missouri gets the win nonetheless. I'll go 45-38 Missouri over I don't know, man. 45-42, Missouri over Texas A&M. It makes me feel a bit more at ease, given the close field goal game. 45-42, the Tigers over the Aggies. Next, we have UCLA at USC. USC's been rolling, man. They're number 23 in the country right now. They've been rolling up the polls, and deservedly so. Ed Orgeron's done a fantastic job there. I think personally he should get the job. They're looking for somebody else, but we don't know what will happen there. But personally, I believe that UCLA has been one of the most overrated teams throughout the whole season. I think Brett Hundley is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in all the country. I really do. The times I've seen him play, he has completely laid a goose egg. Has not played well, not led his team to victories. He can run the football, but he's not good at escaping pressure. So that really did surprise me the times I've seen him play. And I've seen him in mock drafts all the way at number 5 overall. No way. If a team picks him at number 5 overall, they're in for a disappointment, because I think you don't want to say that about a guy now. He's only a sophomore, a redshirt sophomore. I think he'd really, obviously he has the physical tools to do so, but nothing I've seen so far has really impressed me about him. But maybe he comes back another year, completely proves me wrong, plays well, and he could be a top 5 pick. But right now, I don't see it. Playing at USC, one of the biggest rivalry games in college football. I think USC gets it done once again, and I think this might be the icing on the cake for Ed Orgeron getting the actual head coaching job there. So I'm going to go USC by a touchdown, 35-28 over UCLA. Arizona at Arizona State, man. It's hard to pick Arizona after last week, the way they demolished Oregon, but you cannot go wrong with picking Arizona State in this one, because Arizona State has quietly been creeping up the polls, playing better and better, and they're obviously the top team in the country right now. Number 12, Taylor Kelly does not get the respect that he deserves because he's playing lights out the defense up front. 3 5-year starters, 3 5-year seniors, 5th-year seniors on the defensive line. Will Sutton, the defensive tackle, NFL player. He's very good, and it's being a rivalry game. Obviously, it's going to be closer than some people think. Especially, I don't know, because some people might be picking Arizona this week because of the way they played against Oregon. I'm not sure they can get it done twice in a row. They've disappointed me this season, aside from the Oregon game, because I said that preseason, and you probably already know this, they were my preseason off-the-wall pick to make a run for the national championship, because they had a lot of things going their way. Ended up losing to Washington and USC. That messed me up. But before then, I did say they had a shot. I said they would go undefeated up to the Oregon game, and I thought they were going to win one of 2, split the games between Oregon and Arizona State. I got that right thus far because they beat Oregon at least, so I'm going to go with my prediction and said they split those and lose to Arizona State playing at Arizona State. So I'm going to go Arizona State by 10, 40-30 over Arizona. New Mexico at Boise State. You got to go with Boise State here because, they'll beat New Mexico State. No explanation needed. They're playing at home under the lights. They're fighting for a bowl game, fighting for a Mountain West Conference championship berth. So Boise State is not denying Chris Peterson's team won't lose in New Mexico. I go Boise State by 45-17 over New Mexico. I believe that's Bob Davies' team, the former commentator for ESPN just a couple seasons ago. San Diego State at UNLV. And San Diego State's been one of the most surprising teams to me in the country. They're actually fighting for a Mountain West berth, conference championship berth themselves. They have to get a Fresno State loss, which probably won't happen, but they completely just flipped their season around. They started off the season with a 15-point loss to an FCS team. I'm going to tell you who it was right now. I can't never remember. It was Eastern Illinois, lost by more than 19 points. They lost 40-19 in that game against Eastern Illinois. They started the season 0-3 and have gone 7-1 since then, with one loss to Fresno State in overtime. So obviously they've done something right since then, and they've been playing really well. So I think they beat UNLV with no problem. What's the UNLV record? I'm expecting not so great. They're 6-5. Wow, kind of surprising. They have losses to Minnesota, Arizona, Fresno State, San Jose State, and Utah State. Kind of not surprised they lost any of those games. Kind of surprised they beat Nevada, and the rest of those, not surprised really whatsoever. So, but regardless, I think San Diego State improves to 8-1 down the stretch and beats UNLV at their home turf, in their home turf, 38-28. And last but not least, the Army Black Knights versus the Hawaii Warriors, who almost beat Wyoming last week, and that would have been the first one of the season. Is Army going to win this game and send Hawaii to a 0-12 season? I don't know. Army's not been good this season at all. Their wins came against Louisiana Tech, Eastern Michigan, and Morgan State. Lost to Western Kentucky, Air Force, Boston College, Wake Forest. There's not that bad of losses, really. They lost to Ball State, good team, Stanford, Wake Forest, Boston College, Temple, Air Force, Western Kentucky. Not only two bad teams really there. The lost to was Temple and Air Force. So I think I'm gonna give them the win. I think they beat Hawaii. Hawaii's been playing horrible, so I'm gonna give Air Force a. I think they really have a big game running the football against Hawaii, because Hawaii's defense is obviously really small and slow up front. So I'm gonna go Army by a field goal, 24-21 over Hawaii in a close victory. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one a long time. Kind of expected, because they always run kind of long, and this is rivalry week, so I had a lot to say about almost every game. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great week. I hope you enjoy it, because it's Thanksgiving. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Forgot to tell you that. But it's rivalry week. Most people are off school. I have to go one day tomorrow for only 2 classes, and then I'm off for the rest of the week. Then I have a half week, then finals. So that's awesome. But the only thing, the bad thing about it being rivalry week is that it's for a lot of teams the last week of the season, which is sad, because we have another month, and then we got to wait a whole other 8 months for 7 or 8 months for college football again, which sucks. It's the worst 8 months of the season. I mean, worst 8 months of the year. But let's enjoy it while we can. Best week of the season. I'm gonna be in Auburn for the Iron Bowl. So if anybody's there and you see me, don't feel nervous to say hi. I'm a nobody. But yeah. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please leave a like if you haven't. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/SVRTR. Check the annotations on the screen. I probably will have an Iron Bowl preview video somewhere on the corners. I have an NFL prediction for the week video and one of the annotations also, and then another one probably. But check those out. Catch you guys later. Have a great week. Have a really, really good Thanksgiving. Eat a lot. Gain some weight. Gain some muscle. Get swole. And until next time, roll Tiger Sox, no Titans to you. Have a great week, guys. Peace.